we never met before, my name's Vanilla, and if we have met before, welcome back. So recently I've been playing a lot of ZA, like a lot, but I already made my big long video talking about what I thought about the game and everything, so I won't be making another one until the DLC comes out next month. I'm super excited. Pokemon over level 100 in my canon Pokemon game, I definitely was not expecting that. But that doesn't come out until next month, so in the meantime, I wanted to take a look at a couple more ROM hacks. I love playing fan projects, and when I saw the post for this hack on Reddit, I was immediately drawn to it. The first thing that caught my eye was the cohesive stylistic art design. I'm not sure what exactly you would call this style, but I'm in love with it. All of the NPCs are kind of giving an old ancient Japanese kind of aesthetic, especially with the portraits of some of the important characters as well as the overall world design. I think the most important thing I should point out is that this is a 3-gym demo. It's a demo, not fully complete. I do love saying this because it's true. If you don't want to pick up something just because it's a demo, you're missing out. Pokemon Hearth provides 10-ish hours of gameplay, and that's if you don't catch all the Pokemon or anything like that. It's an entirely custom region built on the Emerald engine. There's a whole story with fun writing. Like, it's actually really good. I'm not a fan of super edgy existentialism. I mean, look at me. But despite the lack of all or nothing plot points, there's actually a lot going on in the story. There's volcanic activity wreaking havoc in decaying landscapes. It's up to us, our rival slash best friend, and this random girl we picked up along the way to figure out what exactly is happening. It seems that saving the Toku region is up to a squad of 3 children. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so you all ready? Get ready to sit back and watch a professional do professional things. Come play through this hack with me. Literally, we're gonna play through it together right now. The opening cutscene begins with Elder Kaba, who starts off strong by saying that us kids have no respect anymore. I think he should be grateful that we're not out here shouting 6'7" skibbity riz or whatever the ancient Japanese equivalent of that would be. We get to pick our character, and the designs are so awesome, by the way. It does give off that Legend Arceus vibe, which also gives off that ancient Japanese vibe that I was talking about before. We type out our name, and each time I'm thankful my name can fit in the box because I'm one character short of having to be Vanilla or Vanilla. We start off by being woken up by our big sister. She's yelling at us to get up, but of course I had to snoop around in my room. Don't tell me what to do. I found that I could decorate my room, and there was a Marie plushie in the box. I'm loving this hack so far. We walk out of our room, and there's a note on the table from our best friend Natsuki. Apparently there's a giveaway happening in our village, so that's fun. We need to go pick him up by the ocean just outside. We sit down with him where he talks about crazy stuff happening with volcanoes on the island and something about Pokemon in the ginkgo woods. Just smile and wave because I have no idea what we're talking about right now. Natsuki asks us if we're excited about getting our own Pokemon, which is what'll be happening at the giveaway. Natsuki's all like, maybe you can be second best wielder behind me. Wielders are this game's equivalent of trainers. But before we can say nuh-uh, a huge tremor occurs, and so we rush on to get to Elder Kaba's house for that giveaway. Once we're inside, we get torn apart by Kaba once again, this time because we're late. Fair, I guess. The distribution was pretty much over by the time we got back. Elder Kaba explains that Pokemon used to live peacefully besides the inhabitants of the Toku region, but suddenly they've started to behave aggressively, making travel really difficult. The Council of Old People have decided that the best way to handle the problem is to put some Pokemon in the hands of capable wielders to help protect the public, which turns out to be me. I am extremely capable, obviously. Kaba lays out some Pokemon, and Natsuki kindly allows us to pick our partner first. Our options are Snivy, Froakie, and Cyndaquil. I made a beeline to Froakie. Kaba then hands us a Pokedex. This hack takes inspiration from Legends Arceus, so we're going to be hand sketching our entries. They don't come with an entry automatically, no description or anything, but also if you've never seen the Pokemon before, your character creates silly little names for the Pokemon based on their features and behaviors. Happiny is Loud Egg and Spinda is Confused Rabbit. Once you catch them, their names update, but it's genuinely so funny some of the placeholder names they've come up with. Magikarp is Dumb Fish. Did they really need to do it like that? Kaba then explains that we must head to Silver Ridge up the mountain to go find another elder who may have some information about the bizarre behavior of the wild Pokemon. He hands us a letter and asks us to deliver it for him. Before we can go, Natsuki does the typical rival thing and challenges us to a battle, which I thankfully won. Usually it's 50-50 with me depending on if the encounter is scripted for me to win or not. I took the win and headed north out of the village into the ginkgo forest that Natsuki was talking about. But the forest is very important for one reason. It's where I encountered the baby, Kotora, from the Space World 97 demo of Gold and Silver. Did you all want to know about the Space World 97 event where you could play a pre-release version of Gold and Silver, but it was the version of Gen 2 before it pretty much got completely scrapped and built from the ground up? I made an entire video about it. It took me forever to make, and honestly, it's amazing. You should go check it out. I named this little guy Meow Meow. Almost 30 years in the making for him to make his debut, and the best I can do is Meow Meow. Everyone say hi to Meow Meow. Trying to get out of the forest leads us to a girl standing at the exit exit who's aptly named Odd Girl. She got really mad at me when I walked in front of her and almost trampled on the footprints of a Pokemon she was studying. My bad, I was just trying to get out of here through the only exit which you're blocking. Her name is Hariko and she talks our ear off about all the Pokemon in the forest, which is great because it updated the information in our Pokedex. That's something that I really liked about this hack. You have to talk to certain NPCs to get additional information put into the Pokedex for certain Pokemon. I really like that concept. Hariko talked for so long that it became nighttime by the time I walked into Chi Village. Naturally, the first thing I tried to do was break into someone's house. I went into this old gentleman's house. I got growled at by his Growlithe named Hot Dog, and I was promptly scolded for not taking my shoes off. Then he kicked me out. I guess if someone tried to trample my floor with dirty outside shoes, I'd probably be mad too. I guess I'll come back when I learn how to take those off. I needed to heal up my Pokemon, so I went into the Pokemon Refuge, which is the Tokyo region's equivalent of a Pokemon Center. I wanted to move some Pokemon around, but it's ancient old times, so there's no PC. However, there's this guy who will run our Pokemon out into the pastures for us. Dude's got some major cardio to go back and forth as fast as he does. I also learned that here in the Refuge, they're charging $500 to change the time of day. No thank you. I'll just wait out the cycle since the game runs on an internal clock rather than a real-time system clock. Exploring more of Chi Village led me to the Pokemon School where I learned some things and became smarter, which most assuredly prepared me to go onward. After talking to some of the kids and reading the stuff at the front of the classroom, I learned that long ago, fire Pokemon caused a volcano to erupt. 4 Pokemon had to fight the volcano Pokemon to put it to sleep, and then everything was good again. You get all that? I hope you were taking notes. Now that I'm big-brained, I confidently walk outside, and I went to go bother the local youth. These two wanted to fight me, and I genuinely kind of struggled. Once I won, they were like, "Wow, Vanilla, you're so amazing, so strong," as if I wasn't fighting for my life to not black out. Maybe they should be the ones filling out the Pokedex instead of me. Embarrassed and not wanting to show my face, I waddled out of Chi and towards the Tranquil route. This is where I ran into a vendor named Okada. He's got no items right now. Cool, I guess. Moving on past him, I went through the grass and headed northwest and ran into some shady men that were dressed up really shady-like. And just like that, they headed off, as if they were never there. Instead of continuing west, I went back east and eventually made my way over to this guy's house, who teaches us the secret of the blade. With this, we're able to use cutting moves to cut down trees. He also gives us a scroll for a move called Nick. Scrolls are this hack's equivalent of TMs. They're infinitely reusable, which is great. Too bad Nick does no damage and I can't use it to cut down trees until I get my first dojo token. Okay, so I should probably get around to doing that. Only way to go from the Tranquil path is left, which really helps me not get lost. And then just like that, we're on our way into the next area. This place is really weird because there are 2 feuding villages right next to each other. They're called Saku Village and Kura Village. They hate each other so much that when I was trying to walk from one village to the other, each guard on either side of the gate would heckle me as I crossed back and forth. "They stink, why are you going over there? People in that village are dumb, don't know why you would want to go." Before we're even able to cross from Saku into Kura, Natsuki fights us. He loses, thankfully, and then explains that he already has 1 dojo token. What a show off. He then teases us that he's gonna get to Silver Ridge first. Like, bro, probably. I don't even have 1 token yet. As I was walking through Kura Village, I met this nice girl named Ashi, who talked about how she can't see the love of her life because they won't allow her to cross into the next village. So of course I'm like, let me do it for you. We walked back to Saku and talked to Tama, who at first is like, "Get out of my house, you weirdo." But he brightens up immediately when we talk about Ashi and give him her scarf. My heart cannot take this no more. So we run back to her and explain that Tama wants to meet her at the valley between their 2 villages. Unfortunately, we can't help them meet up until we can use the secret of the blade. So that brings us back to the issue at hand. We gotta go get our first token. I inspected the sign of the Kura Dojo, but instead of going inside, I decided to head to the right and ended up on the beach-bound route. We run into Okada again, who is selling really expensive stuff that I can't afford with $48. Whatever, I didn't want anything anyway. Forget being broke though. Look at them. It's Wooloo. I want one so bad. Moving along the beach-bound path past the Wooloos has us fighting a couple of trainers along the way. Nothing too bad here. Lots of running back to this nice old lady to get healed. Walking too far to the right on the beach-bound path leads us to the really shady guys with bad outfits again. This time they're trying to mug this poor lady. This one informs us that they're the world-famous Crobat Shadows. They're basically the allegory for crime, according to themselves. And then their boss called me a clown, which really kind of set me off. I'm a lot of things, but a clown is not one of them. With minimal effort, I won, thankfully. As they're leaving, the boss starts dunking on one of the grunts named Kevin for not knowing what it means to stoop to someone's level. Justice for Kevin, leave him alone. Thinking about it now, the boss kind of looks like Nabbit from Mario, which makes him even more annoying. After humiliating the Crobat Shadows and exiting the beach-bound path, it puts us in this really awesome water village called Maguro Harbor. Look at the fishy flags. They kind of look like Magikarp. That's so cool. This one looks like Goldeen. I'm trying to think of what they're called, but they remind me of these Koinobori flags. There's this market down here that apparently smells like fish. Makes sense. You can ask this old lady what her fish cakes are made out of. She doesn't want to answer us, so I'll take a hint and move on. For some reason, I saw the dojo here and decided to run back to Kura Village. Why? I have no idea, but I realized really fast I couldn't even start the dojo challenge in Kura because you need to be able to use the secret of the blade. Fine, back to Maguro it is. These battles weren't too much of a problem. The dojo's master Koishi did give me a bit of a hard time, all things considered. I thought I had pretty good type coverage, but her Pokemon were strong. In this hack, you can't heal during battle unless you use specific items. Ointments and revival powder can't be used, so you really need to make sure you're paying attention. Just as we're finishing up the battle, a huge volcanic tremor hits. We walk out of the village and uh-oh, this doesn't look good at all. The forest is decaying, there's this psychoactive sludge on the ground, and all the trees and stuff are wilted. The adults in charge of this issue are in a panic, and when us, Natsuki, and Hariko walk up to them, they're unsurprisingly unhappy. They tell us to get out of here, and a bit defeated, all three of us head back into Kura Village. And here we discuss our next steps. Both Hariko and Natsuki are headed to Ifu City, but we're not going there yet. We don't even have our second token, and we've got this letter we need to deliver to the Elder in Silver Ridge. I made my way up to the mountain to get to Silver Ridge, albeit extremely slow because I had to keep running back and forth constantly to heal. Thinking about it, that probably could have all been avoided if I just bought ointments. You can only use them outside of battle, but they're so cheap and it doesn't end up costing you much of anything to stock up. Finally! Okay, we made it out of the cave, past the windswept route, and into Silver Ridge. This guy here tells us all the village is known for are its rocks. I appreciate the honesty. You probably get the idea at this point, but I didn't immediately go find the Elder. I instead decided to enter a bunch of buildings uninvited. And this one, there's this tortured artist kind of type, and he wants us to bring a couple of different kinds of Pokemon to help jumpstart sculpting a masterpiece statue. He's really giving off Brassius vibes, but a bit less unhinged. He eventually asks for a Clefable, and I haven't seen a Cleffa or a Clefairy yet, so I guess that's gonna have to wait. With nothing left to do except to go find the village elder, I ended up getting lost for a quick second. There's this huge staircase, not entirely sure how I missed that, but once we climb it, it leads us to Elder Iwa. We hand him Elder Kava's letter, and he shares that the mountain that's causing all of these tremors, Mount Kazan, is also responsible for the decay like we saw on the beach-bound path. Now, this is where things started to go downhill for my sanity. It has nothing to do with the hack, it's honestly entirely my fault. Someone walks in on our meeting and informs Elder Iwa that the decay has spread to the Ume Forest. Okay, so in my brain, I had to head there directly from Silver Ridge. So when I attempted to head to the Ume Forest southwest from the Tranquil Path, I was stopped by the NPC, and my goldfish brain couldn't figure out what was happening. Eventually, many moments later, I figured out I needed to go challenge the Kura Village Dojo. So my team is well equipped to fight a grass and bug type dojo, right? Fletchinder, Sawaddle, and Ackley. Yeah, I thought so, but it wasn't easy mode. The dojo master Hana really scared me. Nice older lady who speaks so kindly and eloquently. Yeah, she's gonna kick my butt. She's got 4 Pokemon around my level, and I was not expecting her to have a Squirtle. Makes sense to help water the plants, but that type coverage for fire types, that's intimidating, Hana. After a bit of struggling, I got my second token, but my tiny brain is still lost. I'm frantically checking the map because I have no idea where Ume Forest is. But finally, I decided to go back and take the only path to the west of the Tranquil Path. And the samurai that was blocking the way moved, and I could get onto the White Slate route to head on over to Ifu City. A shamisen player challenges us to fight our way to Ifu City without turning back to heal ourselves. She asks, "Are you ready?" And naturally, my response is yes, even though I was not ready in the slightest. I had bought no healing items or anything, so I was just surviving on a prayer. It was challenging, I'm not gonna lie. I ended up having to avoid the double battles by just fighting the trainers individually. I did it though. A round of applause for me. As we enter Ifu City, we catch up with Haruki, who explains that the Crobat Shadows are committing robberies and taking people's Pokemon. Guess we're gonna have to do something about that. But first, we need to head to a refuge to heal our Pokemon. That challenge kicked my butt. You walk in, and the shady Crobat Shadows have taken over the place. This grunt is charging $500 each time we need to heal. Are you kidding me? We gotta get them out of here. This is straight up robbery. I knew I had to do something, but wasn't entirely sure what. I was walking around for quite some time, but suddenly a samurai stormed through the city and is like, "The city is locked down and a robbery robbery has taken place outside of the refuge. No one is allowed in or out. Allegedly, they're close to thwarting the Crobat Shadows once and for all. They should probably get around to doing that. I still really had no idea what to do, and Ifu City was not my favorite place personally. It was huge, and I kept getting lost. Obviously, that's a personal problem. I decided to go challenge the bathhouse that had a lot of strong trainers in it. I anticipated I wasn't gonna win, which was fine with me, so I figured I would go back to the bathhouse and pay the entry fee to go challenge the trainers again to get stronger. But this time, the owner just took my money and wouldn't let me in. What the heck? She acted like she was gonna let me in, but never opened the door. It's fine, I didn't want to go in anyway, just keep the $500. After roaming around thinking about what I needed to do next, since I had entered every single building at this point, I finally stumbled back into this shop, which also doubled as the hideout for the Crobat Shadows. What's that? I need a password? Fine, I'll go figure it out. Well, that's easier said than done. I got stuck for a really long time. There's this one grunt trapped in the sewers outside who will give you part of the password, but where's the second part? There were these two grunts here, and they obviously don't want you walking up to them when they're talking about the password to their hideout in public. I figured I needed to sneak by them somehow, but for some reason I didn't realize there was a particular spot I had to stand to trigger the cutscene. I was stuck on this part for so long, I honestly thought that I was soft lock. I don't think I actually was soft lock, but I was just a bit slow on the uptake. After putting the two parts of the password together, I rushed over to the hideout because I was so desperate to move along. Once you get into the hideout, this grunt asks you who you are, and attempting to bluff your way through by saying you're a new recruit surprisingly doesn't work. Just like that, the grunt runs off to blow her cover. Walking through the hideout, these Crobat guys are low-key kinda evil. This one is painting regular Pokeballs to look like Ultra Balls, and they're selling them upstairs for a premium. Talk about scammers. Deeper in the hideout, we end up getting surrounded by 4 grunts. A 4v1 seems kinda unfair, don't you think, guys? Thankfully, a responsible adult shows up and it turns from a 4v1 into a 2v2. After winning, we storm our way into the meeting room where Nabbit is waiting. They manage to escape arrest by deploying smoke bombs, and we have to team up with the samurai in the last final fight with the Crobat squad for now. After chasing them out of Ifu City, I am once again left to my own devices to figure out what to do next. The hideout is gone, but I remember seeing a dojo in the city, so I guess I'm gonna go there. Inside there are these kimono girls, and they're part of the gym challenge. They do pretty dances and then ask questions about them. Thankfully, I was paying attention and passed the first 2, although you can still challenge the girls when they stand by the door, so you can get the experience if you need it. During the final challenge, they asked me how many times they jumped during their performance. My eyes were glazed over and my brain was on standby, and then they were like, how many times? And I took a guess. It was wrong, and everyone's shocked. So we get to Dojo Master Utica, and she's razzing us for our clothes. I get she's all pretty and we're not dressed up in the slightest, but like, come on, you don't need to do me like that, do you? This was a double battle, which they did prepare us for given the battles with the kimono girls, but it was still challenging. We win, thankfully, and after insulting us some more and calling us gross and revolting, we exit the dojo. And then suddenly we're met with confetti and the developer congratulates us for completing the demo. Pokemon Hearth was an amazing experience. I loved the writing. I felt like none of the NPCs were afterthoughts, which meant spending time exploring the world felt meaningful. The writing style is really something I can't compliment enough. It was lighthearted without being bland or cookie cutter. I really like that there were multi-step quests like the one between Ashi and Tama. It really makes me feel like I'm doing something impactful rather than just being rewarded for existing. In terms of gameplay, I think my favorite feature has to be the role of the Pokedex. It really encourages the player to keep exploring to find out more about each Pokemon. The naming system for the Pokemon you've never encountered before is so fun. That's a system I'd never seen before. I loved all the variety of Pokemon, and I can't express enough how happy I was to see beta Pokemon. I would love it if they included more of the Space World 97 beta Pokemon, or even the sprites of pre-existing Pokemon like Jumpluff or Skiplim. It's also really cool that each Pokemon has a different set of hues to collect. Their colors change, like think shinies, but much more common. I think if you're looking for something to play through that won't take up too much time, you should definitely give Pokemon Hearth a shot for yourself. Because it's a demo, you don't have to be committed to a full 30 to 40 hour playthrough. The aesthetics in itself are worth playing for, but it also has a really fun story and unique gameplay features which just add to the experience. If you're looking to download it, the link to the Reddit thread that has the link to the patch will be in the description. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. If you find that you enjoyed it and me, it would be amazing if you could consider dropping a like and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I make all different kinds of videos about Pokemon, and I have a lot that talk about a bunch of different kinds of Pokemon ROM hacks, so make sure to check those out if you get the chance. So yeah, I hope you have an amazing day, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Okay, bye!